Let's talk about SQL injection. SQL is structured query language. It's a language for interacting with a relational database. A relational database, you can almost think of like a Excel spreadsheet where the data stored in it is done so in relation to tables that contain columns and rows. So let's see how this web application responds to us clicking the value products that's in the category column. We can see now it's only reflecting rows that contain products within the category column. If we were to try to make this into a SQL query equivalent, it would look something kind of like this. We'd be saying select everything from the table with the name Minecraft, where the column with the name category contains the value products. This is going to become vulnerable to SQL injection when the web application doesn't properly sanitize for certain special characters in the SQL language. For example, a apostrophe. So let's just see how the web application responds to that. We can see that it errors out. And from here, in this kind of a scenario, you could just continue your attack by adding some operands to add an additional query, and then commenting out the actual apostrophe and semicolon that are in the actual query that's happening. So what I would do in this kind of a situation is I would try to enumerate the columns that are in the table that we're querying to. I already know that there's 4 columns in this example. Normally, though, you wouldn't, but what I'd do is a union select, which allows me to have an additional 2 or more selects within the query that we're doing, and then I just try to populate some null values into the number of columns that are in the table that I'm querying to. And as we can see, this resolves, and now we have an additional row with that contains 4 null values. And here, what I'd try to do is enumerate the version or what kind of database that we're working with, and normally there are functions within different SQL languages that allow you to do that. For example, with MariaDB, it has the @version function. And we can see that didn't resolve, so we now know this isn't a MariaDB database, or a MySQL database for that matter, but another version for doing the same kind of thing, another version of SQL that allows us to do that would be SQLite's function SQLite version. We can see now that we're working with a SQLite database, and we now know the version of it. So we basically know the syntax of the kinds of attacks we're going to be doing. So from here, what I'd want to do is try to figure out if there's any other tables in the database. So since we're working with SQLite, I would be doing a subselect, which is going to be enclosed in parentheses. So I could query to the a meta table that's in the SQLite database that's called SQLite master, and try to select from the name column within the SQLite master table and see if there's what values are contained within it. So that's going to look something kind of like this. Select name from SQLite master, where name not equal to SQLite underscore, and we'll have like a wildcard character here, right? And so now we see that null value is populated by the name public stuff. So we know that there's a table in the database called public stuff. To be a little more thorough, though, I'm going to see if there's any other tables in the database. So I'm going to add to this query and name not equal to public stuff. And now we can see that there's a table in the database called secret stuff. So that's going to be where my interest is going to be focused on. From here, I'm going to try to see how many columns and what the names of those columns are within the secret stuff column. So I could say select the SQL column from SQLite master, where type does not equal meta, and SQL not null, and name equals secret stuff. and we can see that there's now the command that was used to create the secret stuff table. And from here we can see that there is a column called name and a column called description. So there are 2 columns within the secret stuff table. So now I want to query the data that's stored within those columns. So from here I could do select, I know that there was the description column, so select description from secret stuff where name, let's say, yeah, from secret, yeah, let's say that. Okay, so we got an error, I misspelled something. There we go, so we got 1 value that's stored in the secret stuff table in the description column of that table. So let's see if there's anything else. And description not equal to, yeah, I'm cringe. What of it? Ever heard of it? Oh, frick. Select description where, yeah, let's say where. There we go, we got another value that's stored in that description column. And description not equal to, don't hack me, bro. Okay, I misspelled that again. Description. So there you go, we've just dumped some data that's stored within a table that wasn't meant to be queried to. So that's SQL injection, and it's pretty freaking dangerous if you ask me.